What's up guys, Penguin Overlord here, and welcome back to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. In today's video, I'm going to give my review for the Echelon class. This is one of the two new classes that came out during Title Update 2.0.0, which also released the Deep State DLC and the Ghost Experience / Immersive Mode. So, for this review, I'm going to go through all the various aspects of Echelon, the class technique, the class item, and the class proficiencies, and just share how good they are. And I'm also going to share some perks that I think go really well with Echelon. So this is honestly my new favorite class in the game, and honestly one of the best overall classes right now, because it's just really good on a whole lot of aspects. So let's start off with Sonar Vision. Obviously, it marks a large group of enemies in a certain area. It's got a very wide marking radius, and it repeats multiple times as the technique is activated. It's essentially like the sharpshooter's sensor launcher, only you don't have to worry about running out of the sensor launcher because you can just regenerate it over and over again. So you don't even have to drone out a base when you're using this technique correctly and recharging it correctly, because you could just keep hitting it over and over again and marking everyone, as well as giving you increased situational awareness for where enemies are in case you do get alerted. So obviously you get this technique fills when you get kills in stealth, which as Echelon you should be playing as stealthily as possible, as it is a stealth class. Go figure. And close range kills. So this includes pistol use and CQC use. CQC, with using the knife, is the fastest way to recharge it. It basically almost recharges it all the way. It just needs like a little bit more before it's fully recharged again. Although if you are using pistol, the closer you are, the faster you will recharge it. As well as a certain perk, which I'll go into later, which will help you charge it up even more. So you can charge up this class technique really fast compared to many of the other class techniques in the game. Even Assault doesn't recharge as fast as this. So it's a very impressive class technique. You gain a whole lot of information, and it's just really good, and it recharges really fast. So highly recommend using this as often as possible. Next up, we've got the class item, the shock pistol. So this basically shuts down the drones in the game instantly. They're still alive, so you won't be able to collect resources from them, but they're shut down, they don't explode, and they don't alert any of the enemies in nearby bases. Even the flying drones, which have always been an annoyance for everyone who's played Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because if you shoot it down the flying drone, even if you take it out in one shot with a suppressed sniper rifle, it's going to explode and alert the base. If you manage to hit a flying drone with the shock pistol, it will crash and make the explosion sound, but it won't alert the base at all. The only thing is, the only caveats here is that, one, you only get 3 of them, and 2, it's really hard to hit the flying drones with the shock pistol. At least in my personal experience. Maybe if you have better aim and can lead the target a little bit better than I can, you'll have better luck with it. But I've found it harder to hit the flying drones with it, so it's not perfect. But it does do its job very well. Also, one key thing you need to understand is that if you do take down a ground drone, it shuts it down. So, but it won't destroy it, so you won't get its resources. But if you start shooting at it, it will reactivate, and it will most likely kill you, especially if you're in immersive mode and you don't have health regen on. So that's something you need to keep in mind. If you're going to use the shock pistol, you need to commit to not destroying the drone and missing out on some of the resources. However, the benefits are that you don't have to deal with a drone anymore. Of course, this is only effective when the drone is unaware. If it is alerted, then it'll only shut it down briefly, just like an EMP grenade, and then it will reactivate again and try to kill you. Another thing that the shock pistol can do is it will kill unwary enemies. So if they're not alerted, you can take out like a group of enemies with the shock pistol. I see that as kind of a waste for the use of the shock pistol, because you only get 3 despite some of the other abilities in the game. Let me look this up. I'm trying to remember the technical name for it, but it's a passive ability with the specialized item carrier. Despite having +2 for each of these unlocked, you only get 3. You only get a capacity of 3 for the shock pistol. So I wouldn't waste it on human targets. Just reserve it for drones, and you'll be good to go. Now, for the class proficiencies, we've got Master of Shadows. So while you're in the shadows, you get 20% stealth. So it's kind of like the Panther's ability, only a little bit more limited. So you won't have 20% stealth during the daytime or any other condition, just while you're in shadows. So it's a little bit more limited than the Panther's proficiency. However, the other abilities do make up for it. You've got handgun proficiency, so again, a little bit more limited than the Panther's ability. It's just only suppressors on handguns don't reduce damage instead of just handguns and submachine guns like on the Panther. But you do unlock later on 20% weapon damage. Its display is 10%. I'm not sure which is correct. I think it's 20%. That seems correct. Because when I have the handgun proficiency on and another perk, I can usually 2-shot enemies, regular sentinel enemies, and 3-shot wolves with pistols. So that's pretty good. But the real star of the show, of the Echelon class, is the Reflex Shot. And this is basically why you're going to want to use your pistol pretty much all the time when you're playing Echelon. So while you're in stealth, you can auto-aim with the handgun when the enemies are starting to detect you. And this is an amazing ability, because one, it'll automatically aim at their head, and you can basically just press fire and get an instant headshot, which is amazing. And it doesn't matter which direction you're facing, because once you hit, at least on PC, the right-click button, I don't know what the console button would be for that. Whatever the aiming button is. But once you hit that button, no matter where you're facing, you'll instantly swing towards the enemy, and you'll be able to take a shot. I do recommend taking that shot, instantly, once you got it onto the enemy's head, because it won't automatically lock on and keep moving with the enemy as it's moving. So basically just hit it and then shoot, and then you'll be good to go. But this ability is incredible. It's you just slaughter people, and it's ridiculous, and it's an amazing ability. So this ability alone, Reflex Shot, is the real star of the show of Echelon, and obviously it's going to work well with the class technique. And basically what I'm trying to get at is, if you're playing Echelon and you're using the handgun, you're just deadly. It's insane. So, one last note, some recommended perks. I have Ballistic Advantage. This perk is honestly kind of optional. You can pick whatever one you feel is necessary for your character. I like shooting at longer ranges, especially with an assault rifle, because sometimes I need a little bit more distance from the handgun. And that's one more thing before I forget. You get a 150 meter max, but honestly, that's not big of a deal with a Reflex Shot, because you should be firing in close range. Slim Shadow is really good. Increased stealth, which honestly is going to help if you're playing stealthily. Kind of a no-brainer. But Pistolero, in my opinion, if you're going to play Echelon, you must use this perk. For one, you get 20% more damage, which, combined with losing the suppressor's inherent minus 20% damage with the Echelon's handgun proficiency, and its plus 20% weapon damage with handgun proficiency, you're essentially, compared with a normal class that doesn't have handgun proficiency, if they're using a suppressed pistol, they have minus 20% damage. If you have this perk and you're playing as Echelon, you're essentially getting 60% more damage than you normally would with a handgun. So you can do ridiculous things at 2-shot people, 3-shot wolves often, and it basically makes your handgun powerful. You definitely want to play with your handgun a whole lot as Echelon. But the other thing that's really good about this perk is the minus 20% technique cooldown. That will recharge your Sonar Vision much faster, and you'll basically be able to trigger it over and over and over again as you're clearing a base. So definitely, if you're going to play Echelon, play with your handgun. This is basically the class you want to play as if you like using handguns, and use Pistolero, because this just works really, really well with this class, and you'll have a lot of success in the field. But that pretty much covers it for my review of the Echelon class. It is one of my go-to classes now. It's one of my favorites. It may even become my overall favorite class in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Only time will tell. Obviously, I like Assault as well, but this new class is amazing, and if you don't have the Year 1 pass, I highly recommend getting it as soon as possible and playing with it when you guys get access released to it, because it's just a whole lot of fun to play as the Echelon, and it's just a great time. So I think that about covers it. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this class review. I will have another one with the Engineer coming up soon, so look forward to that. But thank you all for watching. I'm Penguin Overlord, and I will catch you all next time. Take care, guys.